Hey everybody, welcome to the Start Marketing Podcast. This is Joe Sanders with you. Thanks for listening. This is a podcast that will help you do better with your digital marketing efforts. We can give you tips and strategies that will help you improve your digital marketing efforts. Whether you've been doing this for years or whether you're new at this, we are here to help you. If you haven't heard any of our previous episodes, please go back and take a listen. We're going to take you through a 5-step system that will help you improve and give you strategy when it comes to your digital marketing efforts. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But before I do, I want to welcome Jillian back to the podcast. Jillian, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, it's great to be back.
Yeah, Jillian's back. And just so everybody knows, Jillian's not like really into this, like being on the podcast. Like she's a great podcast producer, no doubt. And all these other things that she does to make my life easier. But I think she's doing a really good job. I think she's doing a great job. And I don't know why you're so nervous when you get on here, Jillian, because you do such
Thank you. Yeah, I like podcasts. I just never thought I'd be on one, quite frankly.
Well,
it's fun though.
We're going to get you your own podcast. So let's go into this. So if you haven't listened to our podcast before, go back, check out some of our previous episodes. We have a 5-step system that is the basis for the strategy that we do. And I'm going to walk you through that really quick so that we're all on the same page. So the first step is to find the right audience. Got to know who you're marketing to. Second step is then to create content to that audience. The third step is to understand and promote your business as a brand. So that's also what you would do through the content to the audience. The fourth step is to use ample resources, making sure you have enough money and enough advertising spend and the right budgets for content creation and things like that. And the fifth is to analyze the results, making sure that we're looking at our campaigns and making them, understanding whether or not they're working so we can improve them. And that's our 5-step system. This is all in a book called Stop Posting, Start Marketing, written by me, that you can find on Amazon. And you can check out our website at relevantelephant.net. That's the silly name for our silly little company that we do marketing for. So, all right, enough of that. So today we're going to talk about digital marketing goals because, I talk to a lot of people, want to talk about digital marketing with me because that's my thing. And I literally just had a phone call with somebody before I got on this, and they're struggling with digital marketing and they know they want to improve it. And they know that their social media needs to be better, but they don't really know why. And they don't really know, first of all, they don't know how. That's given. But the why is so important. It's like we need to do this because my wife said that our Facebook page is terrible. Well, that's not like a business goal, right? And or my kids say this, or I read this, or I heard this on the radio or the conference or whatever. So I have, over the years, talked to hundreds and hundreds of different business owners and helped them with their digital marketing efforts. And I've sort of got about 5 or 6 goals I think that almost anybody can fall into one of these categories. And I want to go through them today and talk a little bit about that with Jillian and kind of get her perspective on how these defining these goals and going towards these goals, creating strategies to accomplish these goals can really help you. So Jillian, let's start with the first overall goal that I think any business has when it comes to marketing. It doesn't really require much more explanation than the fact that companies want to drive more revenue, right? They want more sales. Mm-hmm. So if that's what I'm trying to do, how do I use digital marketing to drive more revenue or drive more sales? Like, how do I do that? What do I do?
Yeah, I think this is definitely the most kind of straightforward goal. And it's definitely more often when we first talk to clients and we ask them what their marketing goals are, the first thing they always say is like, I just want more business. I want to sell more pizza. Right. I want to sell more tickets. It's just, that's the point of a business, is to make money. So that's where business owners' minds go. And I think it's kind of also the simplest thing to push on digital marketing. I mean, it's just basically selling the product. It's showing the product and putting a call to action to it and being like, this is what we have to offer. Come see us, come visit our website, come, shop.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think it is sort of the most simplest form, do this, show me this. And I want that or whatever it is. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about our audience and our content and our branding, because if you want to drive more revenue, drive more sales on a particular product, you really need to understand who your audience is and who you're really showing this to.
Yeah.
it's really, really important. The call to
Exactly.
action is also really important. And we talked about that in the previous podcast, call to action or branding. But a lot of times, if you want to drive more sales, a lot of times you have to ask people to do it or give them an opportunity. So same story. I'm talking to these guys. I was looking at their digital marketing. They were asking for some help. This guy I used to know. And I noticed on their Facebook page, they have some really great content, but they have no call to action. And they're like, well, how can we sell more, sandwiches? They go, well, ask people to buy them. I mean, really, like give them an opportunity. They go, well, we have some places on there where they can email us or call us. I said, well, that's not what people want to do. They don't want to email.
Yeah.
You. They don't want to call you. They want to enter their, go to a web page or an app that gives them something, or they want to interact with you in a different way. So while driving revenue and driving sales is, of course, like the way to go, you got to understand how you're structuring that. I mean, if you're selling things on Amazon, well, that's easy to do because Amazon's going to take care of all that stuff for you, and you can send a direct link to Amazon and they can buy things from you. But if you're doing other things and you don't have that system set up, then you can't link people from Facebook. You can't link people from Twitter. You can't send people from a Google ad somewhere where it's to buy something that you don't have it all the way, thought through. So now I would argue that there are direct and there are indirect ways to drive revenue. And I think the direct way would be kind of what you're talking about, Jillian, where I'm saying, if I'm selling digital watches, I show you a picture of a digital watch and then you click on it and you buy it, right? But there are other ways, like we've done this for clients too, where we've gone in and we've filmed their business. Maybe they changed their business, their dining room, or they changed their office, or they changed their product. And we've gone in and filmed that or taken pictures of that and posted that and sent people to their site based on that. And that's a little more indirect because what we're doing there is we've been posting on Instagram, we'll post on Twitter, we'll post on Facebook, post it on their website, all these different places. But you're all sending them all to the same place. And it's harder to track where people are coming from with indirect revenue because they could all be coming from different places, but they're all kind of ending up in the same way. So I think those are two really important things to understand. And just making sure when you're trying to drive revenue through your digital marketing channels, you got to know who your audience is. You got to know what your call to actions are. And you got to make sure that the system that you have set up to collect that revenue is easy, it's simple, and it's going to be something that people are going to, be able to function pretty quickly. Now, we'll talk about some other things here too, because the other number 2 goal that I find a lot of times people is awareness. And this is where clients will have something out there, but you can't necessarily buy it. So Jillian, we've worked on projects where we're like opening restaurants, like the restaurant's not open yet. So, if somebody's arguing with me and saying, well, the only way that you can do anything good on digital, anything well in digital marketing is to drive revenue. What about a business that's not open yet, that we're marketing, that's going to open in 90 days? I mean, how does that add value to the organization? If they can't buy it, then where's the value?
Yeah. So I think it definitely shouldn't always be about driving revenue and making a sale. I think creating awareness is really important. It's just putting your name out there, saying, hey, I'm here, I'm an option. And I think it's so important and powerful just to let people know what's going on with your business and to be as transparent as you can, because people don't always want to feel like they're constantly being sold to. They'll just tone you out these days, So it's great to do. It's hard to measure, but just getting your name out there can be really beneficial. I know when, I'm browsing my social media, say I'm going to dinner with my friends at the end of the week, just by seeing like a restaurant pop up here and there in my feed and being able to recognize that name at the end of the week, I'll be like, oh, I saw this cool, new restaurant. Let's go try it out. So it's really important to not always just focus on making a sale.
Yeah, because sometimes the sale comes later. Because I know in our business, we've gotten pretty popular in the area to marketing restaurants. And we've done several restaurant projects where the restaurant's not even open yet. And we always say like 90 days out is really what you want to do. Not just for restaurant openings, but any new business is usually a pretty good rule of thumb. So for 90 days, we are marketing something you cannot buy. It is not possible. So you can't argue with me and tell me that that is a driving revenue force. But what it does do is it brings the revenue later. Because I remember a pancake house restaurant we opened in downstate Illinois. We had 3,000 followers on that page, on their Facebook page, when the day they opened the doors. And these are people that live within 10 to 15 miles of the business. So the value that was created in the awareness really drove revenue. But it was based on the awareness. We weren't just starting to market the place when we opened the doors. We already had the awareness in there, and then the revenue came. It's the same if you're, there was a project we worked on where there was a park district and they had a pool they were going to open like the following year. Well, that's a big deal to a community, and you couldn't pay for the pool passes for like 6 months, 9 months. But the amount of social media or digital equity that was created around that message made a huge difference in driving sales to that business later, as well as in the time that we had, getting way more people to follow the page, making it more or less expensive and things like that. So understanding that, revenue is of course what you got to do. You can't spend money on marketing without getting revenue, but there are different ways to do it. And a heightened awareness about a product or a service is actually really can be really beneficial. So we talked about driving revenue. We talked about number 2, creating awareness. The third one is really fun, and it's sort of newer, and it's lead generation. And lead generation is kind of a new thing. I know we just got into this, I think it was Kyle on our team. I think it was like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years. Wow. It was like 4 years ago. And we were really struggling with this company we were working with, couldn't get any traction, anything. And Kyle's like, I think I can figure out how to do these lead generation things. So we started collecting customers' information. So Jillian, how do you, if a lot of people don't even know you can do lead generation on Facebook and Instagram. So how does that work? How does that work? How do you get leads on social media, like direct leads?
Yeah, it's really fun to play around with. It's great because you can just do it all through the platform now. And it's great on the user side too, because they don't need to click out anywhere, go to a landing page or whatever. Right. It's all right there, and it's really simple to set up. And I know we like to do a lot of tagging video on it, a really nice video and it's important that it's we do this more not for just any product. We do this more for events, weddings, book a consultation type thing, more expensive type of services is what it's good for. But tagging a really nice video on it, making the call to actions right there, book today type of thing. And it's so nice to feel that, I feel like a lot of business owners can feel when they're just posting, it's just who is seeing this? It's just like an empty void. But then when you get that specific person saying, hey, I'm interested in your business. I want to, I want to learn about what you have to offer. That can be really exciting. Yeah.
It's I remember in the early days of doing lead generation, we would get a few. And we did. It was we had the gong in the office. We're yay. Now it's become so common that we get them all the time, and it's really a big deal. Now, one thing you did mention, which is interesting, is that there are 2 ways to get leads. There's 2 ways to get revenue. One is on the page and one is away from the page. And not much in the old days, it still happens quite a bit today, is that you can create a landing page, and a landing page is like a 1-page website, for those who don't know, that basically is created to achieve one thing, a conversion, whether that's collecting email addresses or somebody giving you their phone number or giving a quote on a car or a quote on a fence or win a vacation, whatever. That's the only purpose you have a landing page. So when you create an ad and you get a lead, you collect that lead, you have to go away from Facebook or go away from wherever. That's all fine and good, and it still works quite a bit today. We still do that. However, Facebook, what do you think? Jillian, do you think Facebook wants you to click on ads and leave Facebook, or do you think they want to stay?
No way. Stay on Facebook forever.
Yeah, they want you to stay on there because they make more money. So what they started to do is invest in these lead generation forms, and they've really upgraded it in the last year or so. And what allows marketers to do, anybody really, it's not just us, anybody can do this. It's a little tricky, but it's, is design these questions and these information collecting systems that when they click on my ad, they go, yeah, I would like to get a quote on a new roof for my house. Here's my, their phone number, email address, and name is auto-populated because Facebook knows that. And then we ask them questions. When are you looking to get a new roof? How much you're looking to spend on a new roof? What type of new roof? A couple of questions, usually not a lot, but a few. And then that information now comes in and can consent to me or to the client or whoever is doing it. And it's incredibly valuable because in the old days, you couldn't really do that. It was just collect the information. And now you used to get a lot of leads. There was a lot of junk leads, but now you qualify people and you get, and those lead forms become part of the marketing equation. How many questions can I ask? What questions should I ask in order to actually get the right information that I need? And it can be incredibly powerful. So you can get those leads right on the page or you can go away. Google is actually doing this now. This is brand new. Google, and we are in, it's September of 2020, but in the last just month or two, Google launched, they've been talking about it for a long time, literally launched this beta program on lead generation for Google where you don't actually need a landing page. And this will change Google's AdWords program. It's going to be a huge overhaul. It's going to be a big deal, but they're getting into it too because it's a better experience for the user. And there's so much spam out there that if Google is more can control, and Facebook too, they can control more of the content that gives their customers a better experience. It keeps them continuing to use it. Even though I know we think of Facebook and Google as these monopolies to a point, they still do have to do things to retain their customers, or they could come in and get the rug pulled out from under them as well. So yeah, lead generation, really cool, really neat. A lot of people not using this. You can use it for almost anything. I mean, Jillian's right. If you're selling, stickers or, something small, or whatever, I get it. But if, anything appointment wise or something sort of a large purchase, getting leads, it's really cool. So drive revenue, definitely creating awareness, lead generation. And here's an interesting one. Number 4, keeping up with your competition. I have a lot of these conversations with people and they go, look what these guys are doing. How come we're not doing this? Look at what they're doing. And I'm a little hesitant in these conversations at times because I want to make sure that anything we do has a purpose and a strategy behind it. So just because your competition is doing something doesn't necessarily mean you have to. They have that as part of a strategy of something, I would imagine, that they're doing, right? But now, Jillian, I'll ask you this. In the world of marketing, like how often are you looking at what your client's competition is doing, or do you even care what the client's competition is doing in order to benefit the client that you're working on? How big of a part of that is your world?
Yeah, I think it's really important to stay up to date with what your competition is doing in every sense, and that includes marketing. I like to kind of go in and look at things, I would say at least once a month, like what is the competition doing? And I think, you don't, like you said, they obviously most likely have a marketing strategy of their own. You don't just want to go in and direct copy things. But I think in marketing and just in life and a lot of different jobs, you can pull inspiration from others and you can take ideas and you can put your own twist on it. And I think that is a great thing to do. If you're seeing the competition have great success with something, turn that around and see if there's a way you can make that work for your business and incorporate it into your strategy.
I was at this, I got dragged by one of our clients to an event maybe a year or two ago. And there was this guy speaking and he wrote this book called Steal Like an Artist. It's called Steal Like an Artist, 10 Things Nobody Told You About Being Creative. And it's exactly what you just said. And what he did, he's an artist, obviously, and a writer. And he creates art out of other pieces of art. And he creates art out of newspaper articles. And he doesn't really so he always starts with something else. But his whole philosophy on this, it has a lot more to do with art. It's like you said, it has to do with life, and that he's basically what he's saying is what he said in this speech was, nobody really has a completely original idea because that idea was taken from somewhere else at some point. You saw a little bit of a piece of it here in your childhood and a little piece of here and a little piece there and then blah, blah, blah. And he made some really good points. The other thing he said was just go out and just do it, man. Like if you need inspiration, if you can't think of something you'd be creative, you just go look at your competition and just, take what they did. Don't plagiarize it. make it your own, but use the idea, use the concept. And that's exactly what we do. So from a business perspective, I find that clients, business owners are very, very in touch with what their competition is doing. And a lot of people get into digital marketing, I think sometimes for the wrong reasons. And they say, well, I want to be able to do better than this guy in this realm. And I don't always necessarily think that's the best goal, to say, pay all this money and take all this time and energy just to say that you have something now that you didn't have before. I'm not sure that's always the healthiest thing to do, but it's something to at least consider. I think if you're in a very competitive marketplace, then yeah, I think you really need to keep up with this stuff. But I do think it's a goal. I do think it's one reason. It's probably the one that we put parentheses in, like necessary evil, where people that don't like digital marketing, but they know that they have to do it and their competitors are doing it. And so keeping up with your competition and making sure that you're staying up on board with what they're doing could be your goal. So drive revenue, create awareness, lead generation, keeping up with your competitors. And then number 5, replacement of traditional advertising. So, I'm a little older than Jillian. We don't have to get into that, but I'm not that old, but I've been around enough to the days when my first marketing jobs, digital marketing was very new, and it was very like, I don't know, taboo almost a little bit. It was kind of this hidden little secret of, oh, I'm on Twitter, I'm on stuff. I was really focusing more on like doing like TV buys and radio buys and stuff like that. And so I think a lot of companies now are replacing those traditional advertising platforms almost completely with digital marketing. So what would you say, Jillian, like to companies that are saying, well, we're still going to, we're not doing digital at all. We want to focus on billboards and radio and TV and all these things. We don't really want to go the digital route. I mean, what would you say to somebody like that?
I mean, I definitely think there's a place for both. Traditional is very tried and true. And I think, a good marketing strategy would make their messaging fit across both traditional and digital. But I think what's appealing about digital is that it can be more cost effective and it's a more direct way to your customers. And it has an edge in just that it opens up interaction with your customers.
Yeah, it's well said. I agree too. I completely agree. I've had people come to us and work with clients and they go, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. This print media, I don't want to do this print anymore. And I go, oh, well, what kind of a return are you getting on your print? And they're like, I don't know, like 30%. I'm like, you're getting 30% like return on investment on this? And why would you stop doing that?
Right.
I want to do 100% digital. I'm like, well, you need digital. I get it, but don't just replace traditional just because you think it's cool or because it's a thing to do. I agree with you. I think there's a place for both. There will be a time when traditional is going to go away. Like all billboards are going to be digital. Television is already pretty much dead. It's all streaming and YouTube and whatever. Radio will be completely digital, and everything will just be digital. And you'll be buying radio. And I'll tell you what, too. Here's a real prediction, Jillian. You'll be buying these radio, quote unquote, billboard, all this stuff. You'll be buying it from Google. You'll be buying it from Facebook. They will own all this stuff, and you'll be doing that. And it'll be more of a way to own the rest, all of our lives and control us. and whatever else is happening with the Russians hacking them or whatever that is. So yeah. And so I do think that a lot of companies get into digital marketing to replace traditional, but I would say this is my advice. If you're replacing traditional marketing, advertising with digital, expect the same results. Remember, I say this a lot. Marketing hasn't changed and never will. And you can't just replace it and say, well, we used to put these commercials on TV, and now we put them on YouTube, so they're going to be way better. Well, they're only going to be way better if your marketing equation is better. If you have a better audience and a lower CPM and a lower cost and more impressions, and it's more impactful. If you just put it on there, it's not going to do anything. It'll do the same, but it should be at least as good as what you're getting, right? If you're some small company and you've been putting something in a local newspaper and that's what you've been advertising, then the newspaper falls away and goes out of business. And then you're like, well, now I need to figure out a new way to advertise. So then you go on Facebook. Okay, with the same amount of money you're spending, you should expect the similar results. It's pretty much that. It should be tied together, at least in somewhat that way. Don't expect more. Just expect the same, because marketing is the same. Now, in some cases, maybe you can, if you're really archaic, there may be some things that you could expect. But for the most part, I would expect this. So we've gone through 5. Now there's one more. Jillian, we'll talk about that in a second, but let's go through the 5 goals that are most common goals, right? Driving revenue, creating awareness, lead generation, keeping up with your competitors, replacement with traditional advertising. And number 6, this one, Jillian, I believe, and you can disagree with me if you want, this one I believe is the most common goal, the reason why people get into digital marketing. You know what it is?
What is that?
Not sure. They don't know. Businesses or marketing people don't really know why they should do this, but they do it anyway. And, I think that this is the one that's the most common because and the reason I think this too, and you can speak to this a little bit too, is that I think a lot of people don't know what they can do with digital marketing. I think they know that they want to do it or that they should do it, but I don't think they know what they could do when they get in there. Do you find that that's pretty on point?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when we talk to like new clients and onboard them for the first time, one of the first things we tend to ask is like, what are your goals? What do you want from this? And a lot of times say, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So that's definitely true. And we often have to find ways to like eke it out of them, what they want from this.
You're right. That is what they say. And they're not saying it because they're not smart or they're not intelligent or they're not, it's just that they don't. They're just like, I don't know. Like, and they would probably say the same thing if you asked them, would you want to buy a TV campaign, a radio campaign, or a billboard campaign? They'd probably say, I don't know, because it's the same thing. It's the same process. When you're moving into digital marketing, I mean, I talk to people all the time. We go back to number 3. We talked about lead generation. How many companies have we talked to that when we tell them about lead generation, they go, what? How do you could do that? How do you do that? And we go, they didn't even like, so it's not even that they didn't know, they had no idea it was even a possibility, right? When you start doing these things, like you can upload email addresses to Facebook and you can put people on a list. A lot of people don't know you can do that, right? Or the things you can do with, moving some things from one side to the other. And when it comes to digital marketing, like taking some contacts from LinkedIn, moving them to Twitter, or doing all these, cross-referencing and things like that. A lot of people don't know you could do that. Remarketing, putting a pixel on your website and having ads follow you around on Google or on Facebook. A lot of people don't know you can do that. So I think it's up to, it's ethical, and I think it's responsible for digital marketing professionals like ourselves to really educate our clients on what those possibilities actually are, and not stand behind and say, well, I know all like the old used car salesmen of the world, not the current ones, but old fashioned ones where it was like nobody had information on cars and nobody knew anything about cars. And they'd be like, well, you're going to buy this car and this is what you're going to pay because I know more about it than you. And I find that and you could agree with me or disagree with me on this, but I think you agree, when you educate your client, they then become like your partner in this. And then you have a much more prosperous time working with somebody who has a better understanding of what we're actually doing.
Yeah, totally. That? Yeah.
Yeah, right on. So they're good. Let's walk through these steps again. Or these goals again. So again, I would encourage all of you, before you start a digital marketing campaign, or if you're struggling with your digital marketing campaigns, maybe just take a step back and figure out, what is your actual goal, right? Is it to drive revenue? Are you trying to create awareness of your brand or product? Are you trying to get leads? Are you trying to generate lead generation? Are you trying to keep up with your competitors? Or are you trying to replace other forms of traditional marketing? Or are you just completely not sure? Any one of those is fine. I would say if you're on number 6, maybe get the book, read through it. We'll help you out. Shoot us an email. Jillian, thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate it. You always have such great insight into these topics. Hey, thanks everybody for listening. I would highly encourage you. I'll say this. I'd highly encourage you, if you're struggling with what your goals should be, go back and listen to some other podcasts, especially the ones where we break down the 5 steps. I think that'll really help. Please subscribe to our podcast. We put out this content as much as we can. We enjoy doing it, and hopefully you enjoy listening to it. So please subscribe. If you have any questions related to digital marketing or anything in general, like I always say, if you took the time to listen to us, we would be more than happy to take the time to listen to you. Send us your emails. Follow us. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or our website, Relevant Elephant. we would love to do that. So again, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. This is the Start Marketing Podcast. This is Joe Sanders saying, stop posting, start marketing.